All right, folks, I saw the article yesterday. I saw the article. It came to my attention. It was involved in MK Ultra, and this is an article from United Nations. The article from the United Nations, or if you like, from the World Health Organization. I think that maybe even a lot of people don't realize that World Health Organization is a branch of United Nations. I certainly would want you to realize this. I want you to be aware of it, that World Health Organization is a branch of United Nations. And it is the most sadistic, murderous branch at the United Nations with a sole goal on its mind as basically to murder people, to kill people. These people murdered more people than what they saved, statistic wise, and these people continue to murder to kill people, literally, to murder. I'm going to give you my own example, don't worry. For the pleasure of it, for the fun of it, for the joy, literally. Folks, the lady that you see, most likely the lady that you see below, Bindu Shrayan Perapadan, probably she was the one. In 2013, when they threw me inside the psychiatric hospital, she warned me about American terrorism, which entered our house here in the Novo Mesto. When I say American terrorism, this article about the loneliness, which is as bad as equals 15 cigarettes per day. That's what they claim for the people. US government used Vivek Murthy in 2013 for exactly the article that you see. I already explained to you about, I told you about the article, about the articles, how during MK Ultra they had the whole agenda. They're not doing this like like independent media outlets, etc., etc. It's basically copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Independent media outlets usually are subject to a total state control. Every outlet that you see on the internet is subject to the state control. Usually, the pages like a little Facebook pages or comment sections of media outlets is where you would find what is probably 5% of what is happening within the society. Because the media houses, we live in a completely controlled world. It's worse than Orwellianism. This is not Orwellian. This is much worse. This basically is a parody on oftentimes even what could be. It didn't happen, but in what could be. If it's like a really bad story behind, it's usually like this, that if you would go as an investigative journalist and you would start to investigate something, you would come and you would realize through the sideways that person probably did not even die, and the circumstances under which he probably would have, and why it's the best to keep silent about one, and this and that, and so on and so forth. It's all kinds of stuff. Exactly what I stated here, misrepresented. And at times it's also stuff that is impossible to hide, that is big enough, that is posted in the media. As to most of the stuff, 95% of the stuff that goes on inside of the society, we do not see at all. As I stated, maybe something here and there is mentioned in the comment sections. Well, the one who is guilty for all this stuff is right there. It's called the World Health Organization. World Health Organization obviously is all about the mental health. The first priority of the World Health Organization is a mental health. Unfortunately, this is the way it is. I was brainwashed. This also is the way it should be. But I'm going to say to you, no, this is not true. The World Health Organization is misusing the issue of the mental health for the benefit of the major countries in the world that have a common program, a common agenda, a common matrix coordinated with one another, and which they religiously follow, as forcing smaller countries to fit in a bracket of those. Some people refer to that kind of stuff as a globalism. I don't think that completely necessary this is the case, but de facto is a lot of people that would want us to feel that way. Obviously, at the United Nations, this individual here, this guy, Vivek Murthy, obviously, with an article like this, obviously he is a globalist. Obviously, this is the person that would want to get killed as many people as possible, but in a very, very nasty way, really. In 2013, Vivek, had somebody else enter our house here in the city of the Novo Mesto. It's when I was thrown inside of the psychiatric hospital, Ljubljana Polje. And Vivek became really, really strong. All of a sudden, he grew into a mountain. He was involved already a very long time before that, but in 2013, he got like wings, basically. Once I was thrown inside a psychiatric hospital, this guy walked all over our house here in the city of the Novo Mesto like he's the owner of one. He had some Arabic guy with him, at least appeared to me, and was using him to misinterpret me, his views on, trying to make me feel sorry for myself, being lonely, um, how bad this is. It's the kind of people like Vivek that push down my throat idea about being depressed, idea about how I must disclose, how I must tell. But by the way, Vivek found him extremely pathetic, claimed that will get me killed. It was 100% he claiming I will be the one who will get you killed. And it was a deputy of Joe Biden, with Joe Biden claiming me that there is one man you will never get to it, and that's Vivek Murthy. Halegere Murthy. You will never get to. So this was the guy who was absolutely positive will get me killed, will get me murdered. So as I said, at the United Nations, at the World Health Organization, the mindset is for people to go out there and murder people. I would preferably not talk to you about this stuff, but then on the other hand, I don't want to bite into what I was taught equals to 15 cigarettes a day, and it's also what the lady Bindu Shayan Parapadan warned me at the time. She said, you're going to start to see yourself in that. That's a mental illness, basically. Loneliness, true, it's true. People have a choice. If you have money and you feel lonely, is because you're mentally retarded. It's because you're definitely mentally ill. There is no fucking excuse for you to feel lonely if you have money. There is a way to find a way out. Get yourself whatever is of your interest to keep you busy or entertained, whatever might be. Uh, if you feel lonely with the money in your pocket, you're mentally ill. And if you feel lonely because you have been blacklisted on a job market, if you feel lonely because you have been selectively ousted from society, blacklisted, I should say, again, forcefully unemployed for the people that don't understand blacklisted, but forcefully unemployed, and you feel lonely, it's because the World Health Organization, as I say, murderers like a Vivek Murthy accomplished the goal of your becoming mentally ill, obviously. I pity people that do not see themselves for what God intended them basically as a human beings. If you feel lonely, obviously that you are less than animal. And if you feel lonely without disclosing prior to your loneliness that you have been gang stalk, is what they say. They say gang stalk. They don't say your social security being entered into the state computer database, prohibiting you at every private employer from employment, not only state employer, assigning this private employers job, state job, which requires them to harass you, gang stalk you, uh, cause you at work problems enough for you to quit, so that your resume consists of short employment periods that are used for a further abuse and real abuse that takes into different work schedule, impossible work schedules, and completely other than what your profession is, and you feel lonely, I'm gonna say fuck you. I'm gonna say a rotten motherfucker with the Vivek Murthy in hell, because it's you rotten apples like this that, because of whom good apples like myself are destroyed, rotten, basically invisibly rotten away, thrown basically in the same basket with all the rotten apples. You understand me what I'm saying? If you can't even go out there and say which United Nations, it gives the right to United Nations, to the World Health Organization, to write the articles like this, basically say that there is such a thing like a forced unemployment, that there is such a thing like blacklisting people, then I'm going to say fuck you. I'm going to say rotten in pain and in vain, just as Joe Biden said to me I will. And I do it as fast as possible. For me, you're not fucking worthy to exist. It's just as simple as this. This video, however, is not about the loneliness or how Vivek Murthy was trying to convince me to see myself depressed and lonely. It is very bad for the health, like equaling 15 cigarettes per day. I wouldn't want to go and cry about Murthy. Accomplishing this guy's this guy, this is garbage. Obviously this is a garbage, obviously this is trash. And so there isn't much to say about the garbage. There isn't much to say about the trash. Trash is a trash. I wouldn't waste word, dime, shit on a trash like a Murti. I wouldn't get into this kind of stuff. But what I want to stress about, this is about United Nations, about the World Health Organization that allows to be placed in a category of organizations that serve to absolutely everything Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler both dreamed about. This classic extermination of the people. Classic extermination. You don't have the right, let me tell you something at the World Health Organization. You don't have the right to write articles like this without solving problems like this here. This is a very, very serious problem. These are very, very serious problems. These are the videos here. And right there in the corner, you have how many people have seen these views. You see views? How many people have seen these videos? And you get 13, and you get 15, 2, 4. You know what I mean? 15, 2, 13 views, 131. I don't know why. I don't know what is it with this stuff here. 39 views and so on. 0 views. I like that. I love that one. I like the kind of stuff, 0 views and so on. Well, the thing is, I produced a lot of videos, and a little earlier, maybe I still have it here. All right, so it doesn't matter. You're going to use this one here just to give you a comparison. This I have published to several different video platforms. Shit, this is just it's not going to be good enough. This one, huh? I am trying to get into. Okay, so it doesn't matter. We're gonna go with this one here. Okay, and this one here I have dedicated to Antonio Guterres. Why not? And we're gonna use this one here instead as an example. So, you don't talk to me about fucking loneliness, you know? I was denied the right to employment in Florida, in the state of Illinois, in Minnesota, Washington State, mistreated severely by Canadian immigration in Vancouver area, denied the right to employment in Austria, denied the right to asylum in Germany, in Belgium, mistreated severely, denied the right to employment in Sweden, from door to door, Göteborg, Karlstad, Norway, Bergen, from door to door. Denied the right to asylum to employment in Hungary, denied the right to stay in Ukraine, in Belarus, denied, actually in Poland, denied the right to stay in Slovakia, misused, tortured, treated like a third world immigrant in Slovakia. Asylum procedure literally was used just like in Poland to torture, literally. In Poland, work was substituted with procedure used to break my spine. So I know, sir, that you work at United Nations for the World Health Organization, but that you there actually, you were a terrorist in our house here in the city of Novo Mesto. You walked like a Hitler, like an owner of this house, of this property. Guaranteed me that you will kill me. And you're talking about, I'm talking about to the Vivek Murthy right now, to the Joe Biden is deputy. Oh, I find this kind of stuff. This is just. I find this kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I find this kind of stuff as, and they pride themselves. Let me tell you something. Today, it's going to be people in the Washington D.C. They're going to be congratulating Joe Biden today for this, for me playing this stuff. Here, it's going to be people. Good job, Joe. Good job, man. Good job. Sickening, making people mentally ill, killing people, killer, assassin mindset. Look at it right there. Do you know how many gaffes Joe Biden involved in MK Ultra butchery? To me, devoted to me. I told you can misinterpret one news to million people, to each one differently. Acting like mind absent, like what is it? Due to age? What is it due to what? Joe Biden, to my knowledge, is a billionaire. Not a millionaire, but billionaire. The man who demanded from me to see myself in him when I don't even had 1 cent of the revenue since 2010. And since 2010, all I did was I relied on my online work to bail myself out and have the right to employment, to life, to job. I didn't want to go through all this procedure. I didn't want to go through all this stuff. And they continue to rape. They continue to terrorize. They continue to enforce the United Nations is World Health Organization mental illness procedure, literally through the butchery, literally through the poisoning, more effective than electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, electroshocks, was the sleep deprivation. I wondered, why is it that I did not realize what was done to me in respect to vitamins, what the stuff they have done to me, why it didn't come to me earlier? It's because the sleep deprivation is more effective than electroshocks, ladies and gentlemen. It's because if you're sleep deprived and you barely stand up on your feet, you only react, you only respond basically to jabs. This is on what they survived. This is their world. This is their poetry. This is what they get paid for. They get paid to murder. And the main tool of United Nations is a mental illness. What bothers me with United Nations in my case, not only is, as I demonstrated you here, I'm going to demonstrate you 615 views I have here from United Nations for the video I posted. 615. It's completely different than, this is one of my channels. It's completely different. Obviously, it's completely different than, I could almost say American channel, YouTube, or Daily Motions. I think Daily Motions are French, isn't it? They posted here in a different locations here. But the daily motion is the same thing. It's all being censored. It's all done in such a way so that it can't be seen absolutely anywhere. One view, three view, four view, fuck you, you don't exist, basically. I actually think that the pictures that you see right there were selected by individual alone. I think that that's how he wanted to be seen as. Yeah, it's not a coincidence that he's portrayed like that. Um, he looks like fucking mentally retarded, if you ask me. That picture right there on the right side, right below, it looks like fucking mind absent. I didn't know that cement block tastes so fucking good. Oh, now I'm not being nice, right? Oh, well, since you work at the United Nations, you know where to go complain, and there will be then a people who will immediately assist you in your racially, maybe ethnically charged claim I have made against you, let's say. Because that's how you like to see things, right? Yeah. And those that own you in United States of America just need exactly what I stated so they can get their right heard. They want to be heard. They want to be seen as a righteous. They want to be seen as legitimate. And there you go. There are two things in this world: people that work for their money the honest way with their hands, the workers, or their brain. And then there is a people like this here that get paid to murder. And there are many different ways to murder, but none is more efficient than with the lies. Obviously, at the United Nations, we have police officers that are enforcing the genocide, that are making sure, like in my case, let's say, if I go to my case and I write down Bastian author, like this, I go Google, I press the Google, and I go on the images, and the only thing that is left from me is just shit. There is just two things that pop up. One is under the video here, Bastian Auser. Then there is a whole series. Look at that. I didn't know that. No, it's not. It's just one, two, three, four, five things. But really, this is just one you see about me. Otherwise, I don't exist. And you get also my resume from the Belarus. You also get to see. Or if you go, it's just kind of strange when you compare the productivity, the amount of work I do. It's insane because probably it's going to over 1,500 videos already, and I don't know how many articles I wrote, but it's this world that is incredibly shrinking. And then there's all kinds of sarcastic stuff that you can see under Hauser Times with mostly people even involved in MK Ultra. Now, I don't exist practically. The news outlet does not exist. There is no such thing as this. What you see here, it appears this is just a mirror from Milano zone, somewhere from Milano, from Italy. Somebody mirrors this stuff here, and that's basically all there is. I don't exist, basically. I don't exist. I don't exist. It must be a fucking loneliness, huh? that's catching up with me. Now it's catching up a long, long, long time. And it seems like the more that I work, the more that I keep myself busy, the more the loneliness is catching up with me. Or maybe is it the police officers at United Nations, at the World Health Organization, that are working around the clock 24/7, that police the internet in complete coordination with the Google owners, with the people that were involved, like Vivek, in this genocide against me. And through these sessions they make, apart from United Nations, World Health Organization, coordinate every step of the genocide against me personally. I think I am really a trouble to the people like this. I think it's really difficult at this point, because somehow the Vivek is promises how he's going to get me killed, and Joe Biden how I will never manage the Vivek and this and that, somehow do not match what is known as a reality. I'm still here. I'm about to launch this complaint, and we'll go from there. And in the worst case scenario, even if I would have to put the rope around my neck, this case is going to stay documented. There will be a red spot on United Nations. There will be a red spot on Amnesty International, on a Human Rights Watch, and foremost on a World Health Organization, where Vivek Murthy is a head of a special commission. So this channel here, this is Japanese. It looks like it's not so vicious. It's not as vicious as this Western channels. It seems like other cultures are more open towards the right to existence of one, the right to self-determination. And if you look under the right of the self-determination, the right to be determined, basically, and the right to exist, the right to employment, which United Nations at this point in time, they are trying to substitute with loneliness. You know, it's about the loneliness. The US government probably made about 1,000 different articles involving probably 1,000 different people from Hollywood, the rich and famous. They would write about on the media, on the news, how they died, the types of the symptoms they suffered during, due to whatever issues, whether that be, they did not touch diabetes and that kind of issues, but they did touch a lot, all kinds of issues, blood clots, all kinds of stuff they did. Sit me in front of the computer, so you basically put the knife under my throat and have me respond, basically guess their pictures, their articles, their blah, 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 blah. And then based on that, started to form what they believe would present to the world as a paranoid schizophrenia, as a mental illness, as a form of mental illness. Yeah. So the MK Ultra becomes a mental illness. So if I drug you up, you're mentally ill. You go to the military, I drug you up, and that's where it all starts a lot. You're mentally ill. You go to the school and you share the room and you're mentally ill. I throw you out on the street and you're mentally ill because you go from one shelter to another. I hope you understand that shared rooms are mental illness. It equals to MK Ultra in way too often, many cases. So United Nations seems found the solution to my problem, to the mental illness, and have acknowledged one, demanded from me to acknowledge one as a loneliness. You are lonely. You must tell you're lonely. You must tell that you're lonely. This is basically the question of whether it was the egg or chicken first in this world. What was it? I uh, I find this stuff bizarre, folks. Violent as it gets. In December the 9th, I am going to be 52 years old. That you would go and block somebody even with an online income from any kind of online revenue, that you would create this kind of a totalitarian world that surpassed imagination of Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. One possibly could not imagine. This isn't about Orwellianism or anything. This is about United Nations. This is about the World Health Organization. The organization which they claimed me foremost is concentrated on a mental health. That everything starts with the mental health. Fuck you. Nothing really is that starts with the mental health. It ends with the mental illness, basically. For the people that have nothing to do with it but fall in this bracket of this genocide bracket that I told you about earlier, is being discussed at the United Nations because of the people like Joe Biden, because of the people like Vivek that feel are part of the bigger systems, like globalists, and are certain will have capacity to enforce genocide against people based on their color of the skin, racial ethnicity, etc., etc., etc. Vivek is a Indian prejudice, is a racist, is a bigot, and foremost is a terrorist. This is a real Al-Qaeda, but he's sponsored by the US government and is legitimate because it's the US government that needs one. It's his color of the skin that gives him the right to walk in the stranger's house somewhere in Europe and does the stuff like this to the person, compelling him in a mental illness, will occupy one chair, one at a time, one at a time. The chairs that terrorists at the United Nations and World Health Organization occupies, one at a time, it guarantees the genocide. These are the people who enforce murder of the people. It's no wonder the world is ready to blow itself up from evil. It's just that people like Vivek, for whose sake United Nations were established, do not realize that sooner than later they will fall in the same bracket as to the one they use against others, against people with a different skin, with a different complexity, with a different ethnicity. Myself, in this case, there is a racism. There is a racism. There is a huge racism. There is a huge bigotry. But that bigotry now is situated from very unlikely in the past. Is centered from very, in respect to the past, from very unlikely. Is a huge racism. It's stuff that Adolf Hitler and Stalin could only dream about. It exists. It exists. And it's being used. It's being used. It's being used to divide society. It's being used to divide the world. I'm angry about an article like this. It makes me angry. It makes me angry because I fell into the category of people. I fell into the category of the people. I fell into the category of the people that are drug addicts, alcoholics, people of the mentally ill. Yes, in 2013, they labeled me as a paranoid schizophrenic. United Nations citing, literally claiming that there is no such thing like MK Ultra. At United Nations, they claim that there is no such a thing like MK Ultra, that this is the stuff that never existed, involved since 95 in genocide, in a swift genocide against me. At the United Nations, they still reiterate that MK Ultra does not exist, and it never existed. For as long as United Nations will exist, basically, with killing unlimited amount of people, number of people, everything is fine, everything is under control. It's all about the loneliness, about the mental illness. They are defining mental illness as a form of violence that can be done unto the person next to the forced unemployment, next to completely blocking the person from any kind of the right to any kind of online even income. If you push him out from the job market, completely isolate him, taking from him absolutely every right to complain, to have absolutely every say. Because he shared the room with somebody, because it can be electroshock during his years of studies, because he can be beaten up, because he can be terrorized. At the United Nations, they say MK Ultra does not exist. That means the United Nations and World Health Organization are MK Ultra. This is the center, the epicenter of the human genocide, the human misfortune. The headquarters of MK Ultra are located at United Nations, at the World Health Organization. They interpreted that as a mental illness. They will recognize loneliness, but they will not recognize MK Ultra. They will want you to. They're doing basically absolutely everything. Basically the news that came out from the World Health Organization, that I see the news like this from the World Health Organization, that they are stressing about loneliness in such a times like this, without solving a case like it's mine. I don't have the right to the postal offices, people here in Europe. Do you understand that I don't have the right even to the postal offices, the postal service? You ask you how the fuck they block your accounts, they block my views, they block everything. When they had me during MK Ultra, wherever I went, whatever there was people, they went with the police after the people. They started to interrogate, intimidate, give them special offers to participate, to twist stuff the way they wanted to portray me as mentally ill. United Nations used my services since 95 to finance United Nations, literally. With performance of the crime against me, Illuminati member states, actually Illuminati elites dedicated them, allocated them the money. Literally the amount of mental illness United Nations enforced against me was conditioned to United Nations through checks, through the money. How much you can block this guy is how much is what you will get. So how do you go about this kind of stuff? About the loneliness, about this kind of stuff. This is, I'm not gonna say touchy, uh, touchy issue for me. I only lost 52 years. It comes to the life expectancy. For me, it comes to usually law enforcement officers retire. I think they do like 20 years of work, then it's retirement time or whatever. I think so, yeah. In United States, at least, it's like this. It doesn't even come to life expectancy. It doesn't come to life expectancy because I didn't have any kind of life. So for me, the life expectancy starts what, after 52? I don't know what Mr. Vivek claimed that he will kill me, that he would destroy me, but his definition, his stuff that he pulled about this loneliness, about this stuff, using some kind of guy, I think it was Arabic. He would not go directly with his stuff. At times he would go inside and back and forth and so on. He investigated, it's like he was investigating Slovenia, like he went back and forth and he was moving and they were doing this kind of stuff.